Hello and welcome to Friday once again. Today is April 16th, 2021, and this is Cord Cutting Weekly, the show where we wrap up the past week in cord cutting and streaming news. And on today's show, we've got a lot of Roku news to recap, some new Netflix updates, still more Apple TV rumors, and more. But first, really quickly here, please do consider clicking on those like and subscribe buttons down below. That would help out our channel a whole lot, and we'd really appreciate it. And with all that being said, let's dive right into the news, starting with Roku. In case you missed it, some of the biggest news this week came from Roku. And if you haven't done so by now, you should definitely check out this week's video deep dive. We posted that video earlier than normal this week, so if you missed it, you'll find a link down below. But to sum up the highlights, Roku is starting to roll out the latest version of its software, and it's called Roku OS X. You can see some of the key features on your screen right now, but we wanted to call out some notable additions. And we're talking about things like Apple AirPlay 2 and HomeKit support coming to more devices, a much more customizable live TV guide menu, and HDR10 Plus support for certain Roku models. There's also a new feature the company is calling Instant Resume, which promises faster app reloading times and the ability to resume an app where you left off instead of sending you back to the home screen each time. And we'll have much more on Roku OS X in the near future, of course. And in the meantime, you can check out our earlier video. And down below, you'll also find links to our site, cordcuttersnews.com, where you'll find even more coverage of Roku's spring 2021 plans. Of course, Roku also announced a slew of new and updated hardware for the near future. There's the Voice Remote Pro, which we reported on earlier in the year. That looks to be the new top-tier input device in the company's lineup. It's got an internal rechargeable battery, hands-free voice input, and a switch to turn off the onboard mic, and more. It goes for $29.99 and it's currently up for sale on Roku's own site and should be available elsewhere in May. The company's also revamping the smart soundbar. It will soon go by the name of Streambar Pro, which continues the naming scheme we first saw in the earlier Streambar. Hardware-wise, this looks to offer the same capabilities of the smart soundbar, but it also packs in a more advanced remote control and some headphones for private listening mode. And Roku says it should be available starting in late May for $179.99. And last but definitely not least, it's the Roku Express 4K Plus, which takes the familiar Express form factor and, well, adds 4K output and HDR support. That will retail for $39.99, but you can save a few bucks thanks to a Walmart-only variant called the Express 4K. That version offers a more basic infrared remote control and knocks the price down a few bucks to $35. Walmart's got a pre-order page up now with a ship date of May 20th listed. And just like the OS X news, we've covered more of the highlights in our earlier video. And don't forget to share your thoughts on Roku's news in the comment section down below. Over on Netflix, the streaming service has started updating its kids' profiles to feature an easier-to-use interface. It's not rolling it out to all platforms all at once, but the new interface features a row of the user's favorite content populated with artwork and characters from each show or movie. The idea is to help kids find what they're looking for more easily. Netflix will also start featuring kid-friendly trending shows and movies as well. So far, the updated interface has been rolling out to connected TVs, and the idea is to test it out on other devices in the near future. And if you do start seeing the new interface, feel free to let us know what you think of the experience in the comments section down below. And if you'd like to know more about how Netflix approaches kids' profiles and parental control features in general, we actually covered that in a video we published not too long ago, and you can find a link to that deep dive in the video description down below. In other Netflix news, the hit show Bridgerton has been renewed for a third and fourth season on the streaming service. This comes not long after a second season was officially greenlit back in January. The show has been a breakout success for Netflix following its initial season. Couple that with the ongoing demand for new and original content, and it's honestly no surprise to see the streaming service commit to producing several more seasons of the hit show. The announcement was shared via Bridgerton's official Twitter account earlier this week. The show itself is based on the hit book series from author Julia Quinn, and Season 2 reportedly follows plot lines established in the second book of that series. And if that pattern continues, and if the show can maintain its success, then there's a potential for at least 8 seasons, one for each book in the series. But that's all TBD, of course. What we know as of this week, however, is that Bridgerton fans have plenty more stories to look forward to in the near future. Season 2 is currently in production, and we'll let you know when you can expect new episodes to hit the service. In other news, Google has announced that its Google Play Movies and TV app will be leaving several platforms in the near future. An update on the company's support pages indicates the app will be shut down on Samsung, LG, and Vizio smart TVs, as well as Roku devices, and that includes Roku TVs and other streaming gear. The app itself will still be available elsewhere, but as of June 15th, 2021, it will no longer be accessible on those particular platforms. Instead, Google says users should turn to YouTube to access past purchases, and you'll also be able to buy or rent future content on YouTube as well. Also, family library purchases will also be accessible through YouTube. However, the content you pick up directly through YouTube won't support family sharing. Furthermore, Google does note content won't be playable on LG's Netcast or Simple Smart devices, so just an additional heads up there. Now, we've known pretty much since the announcement of the Google TV app that changes were coming to the existing Google Play Movies and TV app, and it looks like this move could be part of that overall shift. And we'll continue monitoring Google's plans for shifting folks away from the app, but in the meantime, you can check out more details in Google's announcement, which you'll find linked in our post down below in the video description. In Plex news, the company says it's completed a round of funding, including $50 million in additional investment. The company says it's aiming to create a, quote, one-stop shop for streaming. The idea there is to create an interface that pulls in all of your streaming media into a single menu. The company says its goal is an interface that brings movies, shows, music, and your own personal media collection into one place, and that includes support for major streaming services as well as premium content for rent or purchase. Now, we've seen various companies take on the task of trying to aggregate content from different services and platforms, but it'll be interesting to see what Plex itself comes up with. And we've got still more Apple TV rumors to discuss. A new Bloomberg report suggests Apple's working on some multi-function devices that could combine the company's HomePod speaker tech with the streaming capabilities of its Apple TV line. Now, that might sound like what Roku's been doing with its 2-in-1 speaker/streaming device lineup like the Streambar and Streambar Pro, but Apple's plans could be a little more ambitious, and if we know anything about Apple, its take on the all-in-one streaming device will likely be a fair bit pricier too. Now, there's no timeline for these products mentioned here, so if they do exist, don't expect anything official anytime soon. In the nearer term, of course, Apple has announced its next product reveal event for next week, Tuesday the 20th to be more precise. Now, odds are we'll see some updated iPad Pros and perhaps some augmented reality gear, but there's always the chance we'll see some updated Apple TV gear as well. It's just a chance at this point, but we'll definitely keep an eye on Apple in case long-running rumors suddenly turn into streaming device reality. As we often say, stay tuned. And there you go. Those were some of the top streaming stories for the week, and as always, thank you all for tuning in. And just one more reminder that if you haven't done so already, please do consider clicking those like and subscribe buttons down below. They really do help us grow our channel, and we really do appreciate it. On Wednesdays, Jess hosts our live Q&A sessions, and then on Thursdays, we dive deep into specific topics. And again, this week we actually published on Tuesday to bring you all the latest Roku news, but we'll be back to our regular schedule next week. And of course, there's Cord Cutting Weekly every Friday, where we wrap up the past week in cord cutting and streaming news. For now, though, my name is Philip Palermo. Thanks again for tuning in this week, and we'll see you all next time. Take care.